Hey everybody, it's Femtrooper, and today we're going to be doing something special. I'm going to be doing a 4-part series on the 20th anniversary of Pokemon, and today we're going to be talking about the anime. So for this 4-part series, I want to talk about 4 different things. Today we're going to be talking about the Pokemon anime, but I also want to talk about the game, obviously, the merch, and the cards. So stay tuned for those videos. They'll slowly start to come out. So we're going to do a 4-part series instead of me rambling on for like an hour or whatever. Brief background on my history of Pokemon, just really quick, just so we can start off this whole shabam here. Pokemon came out in 1998 in North America, so it's technically only the 18th anniversary over here, but we're gonna just forget about that. I was in grade 4 at the time, and the fall of grade 4 was honestly incredible because the games came out and the show came out at the same time, sort of. So for Christmas that year, I got Pokemon Blue. It's one of those Christmases, like 1998 Christmas. 1997 was really good too, but 1998 Christmas was phenomenal. And it's funny because whenever I think of Christmases, I always think of the big present I got. In 1997, it was the N64, and 1998 was Pokemon Blue and a Game Boy Color. Now, Pokemon was one of those things every day after school. I could not wait to watch it. So I don't honestly remember which episode I saw first. I don't have that kind of in-depth memory, but I do remember the amount of joy and just excitement that show brought me. Every day after school, I could not wait to watch it and see what happened or see what Pokemon was introduced, if a new Pokemon was introduced, because there was the odd Pokemon from Gold and Silver that were introduced sometimes, like Togepi or Ho-Oh, stuff like that, and they weren't in any of the games. Same thing with the first Pokemon movie. There was a couple Pokemon in that Pikachu's the short at the start where they were not from the red and blue era, so it was interesting to see some of those characters like Snubbull, Pichu, stuff like that. You were starting to get, as those games were going to come out soon, they were starting to tease you. Again, this is a huge, big marketing ploy that was incredibly successful, and I totally bought the whole thing. So let's just quickly get into the beginnings of the anime for me. I don't know what it was that made me love it so much, because I immediately didn't love the game. It was something that I tried and I thought, it's okay, I guess. I had played RPGs before, very few, like Earthbound, Super Mario RPG, but I don't know, I played it at a friend's house and I didn't initially love it. The show, on the other hand, was honestly something special. I truly do believe that for a series that is full of filler. And for those of you who don't know, there's sort of different kinds of structures that happen with anime. Some anime is incredibly, like, it flows. It's like watching, like Breaking Bad. There's no filler. You have to watch each one in order. It's very much like every episode has something important in it, of something of value. Pokemon, it would be every kind of 20 episodes, every 15 episodes, where something very important would happen, maybe every 10. And those things would be like either Ash caught a new Pokemon, he battled a gym leader, he met somebody new to sort of join his party, just random, or a Pokemon left, had to say goodbye, something like that. Otherwise, every single episode of Pokemon basically featured a new Pokemon, because there was 151, and you just kind of met a new Pokemon each episode. Nothing really happened that continued the story, except for the fact that Ash discovered something new. This is very common with a lot of different anime, like Sailor Moon, for instance, is like that. Every 10 episodes is really when something to do with the story happens. Other than that, it's just a generic battle. Episode ends, you watch the next one. It's not that it's not entertaining, and it's not that it's not great, but again, they're not the kind of things where you can definitely miss them, and, they're not, every single episode is not important. However, having said that, it kind of is, because when you're 10, you're excited, because you're like, is this when Ash is going to get to a new gym? Is he going to get to a new city? Is he going to meet somebody new? And then you're also wondering, what Pokemon is he going to see today? It was very exciting to see him have to battle it out with some new random trainer, meet a new wild Pokemon, etc., etc. For me, the show, and I still think it does, because I'm on season 10, which is the Diamond Pearl series. I've just slowly kind of watched them over the years, and I watched them in English, which I'm totally opposed to as far as anime goes. I really prefer watching anime in its original language. But with Pokemon, because I was raised on it in English, I'm okay with it, despite the fact that the voice actors from seasons 1 to 8 changed. So 9 to present are the new guys. And being that it's in season 17 or 18 or something ridiculous, kids probably identify with those voice actors more, but I identify with the original voice actors. Veronica Taylor, her amazing portrayal of Ash Ketchum. There's something just really magical about that anime to me, because it was so real and it was so emotional, and it didn't try and hide or be too childish or be something it wasn't. What do I mean by that? Okay, the other day I decided I'm going to rewatch season 1, episode 1 of Pokemon, because it's all on Netflix. I own the season 1 and 2? Yeah, on DVD. I own this, like a 3 box set, because there were like 52 episodes in season 1, and they're these big clumpy DVDs, but I own them. And I have Veronica Taylor. She signed the Pokemon movie, and she also signed my season 1 part 1 box set, which was incredible to meet her, to be honest, just because it's kind of like the voice of my childhood. Veronica Taylor as Ash Ketchum is, I don't know, I feel like somebody who's my age, like a late 80s baby, how do you not identify with her in that role? So I decided to watch the first episode, and it's funny because it's like, oh, I decided to rewatch it. It's like, it's only been like 5 years since I've really seen it, because I started rewatching Pokemon in like 2010 or 11, and then now I'm on like season 10 at this point. But anyway, I decided to rewatch it because it'd been a little while. For most people, it's been 20 years. For me, like 5. Anyway, and I was just kind of reminded of how much heart and realness and emotion that it had. For starters, the music in the Pokemon anime, I know there's some new tracks for the dub, I think, but a lot of it was the same music they used in the original Japanese anime, which with the original vocals and everything. And for those of you who watch like 90s anime, there's something really special about Japanese scoring and just their musicianship. It's so obvious. You hear it and you're like, that's a Japanese composer. You just know. I don't know what it is. They love strings. There's certain things I've noticed, because I'll put on like the Sailor Moon anime soundtrack from various seasons. Not the dub anime, because they actually had a full new score for that. And then you listen to the Pokemon anime, and I'm sure this goes for other ones too, from the era, but they're so incredibly full of emotion. And I find that to this day with different anime and the different composers. I find that Japanese composers are just very, very emotional, incredibly, they really portray various emotions, whether it's happiness, but they really, really get the whole sadness and sorrow and heartbreak, and they just really nail it. And there's something very particular. I'm sure it's like saying, how can you tell something is Europop? You just know that it's not American or Japanese. It just there's something about it. You know that it's a European artist. It's the same thing. It goes for Japanese, musicians and composers. There's a style, and I absolutely love it. Search the Pokemon anime OST soundtrack on YouTube, and you'll know what I mean. There are so many songs that portray it really invokes emotion. So I watched the first episode the other day, and there was something just really fun about it. Like, I know I loved it as a 10-year-old, but you have to put yourself back or imagine showing a 10-year-old now saying, watch this, what do you think? And I feel like they would like it a lot. You really, you like the character right away. You like everything you see. And there's a moment when Ash is not getting along with Pikachu right away. It's not really working that well, and his sort of Pokemon dream has sort of, it's okay. He's on his adventure. He's scared, whatever. And then this swarm of Spearows goes to attack him, and he kind of protects Pikachu and stands in front and protects him, and this music comes on that honestly, like, I watched it and I was starting to tear. I'm like, this is so emotional. And I feel like, how many kid shows do that? How many kid shows are that serious? And also, how many kid shows have amazing orchestral scores? Not that many. So I give props to a lot of the people behind various anime, because I feel like they put a lot more effort into things that are being done over here, which are very much the same. They're just random episodes of things, but they don't have incredible scores. Now, this score is obviously based on the game soundtrack, and it's all orchestrated, and there are some seriously amazing tracks. I feel like it's the soundtrack of my life, because there's some where you feel like you're gonna just like have the best day ever, or you can conquer anything when you hear it. And the anime to Pokemon had so many moments of various sort of life events that I feel like a lot of other kid shows don't maybe tackle, and I think this show did tackle it properly. So when I look back, I think of myself coming home from school, watching it at 5 o'clock or 4:30 or whatever it was, and, getting really excited. And there are so many moments in that show, especially in season 1 and 2, or I think, wow, like, I'll never forget that. And, there's one when you think Pikachu's gonna leave. I remember that episode a lot, and I feel like kids back then, they were like, oh shit, like, is this for real? Like, is he leaving the show? Like, kids don't know. And it's like a big deal. Like, you call your friend after and you're like, oh my god, did you see that? Like, it was a big deal. Pokemon had various, and still has, various episodes where Ash would basically let go of some of his Pokemon because it was the best thing to do. He'd release them back to the wild. But he'd become friends with these Pokemon, and it was really sad. They had a lot of really sad episodes. Lots of ones where Ash would not win. He was not a character who constantly won. He lost a lot. Which is frustrating, because, he's been through all of this, and then, if you watch the current day, season, he'll just keep sucking, and you're like, how are you this bad still? Like, Pikachu must be a level 1000. Like, okay, anyway, nerding. I just feel like the show had so many real elements that when I think back to all the shows that I watched as a kid, there were some great shows, but it's the ones that really had a lot of heart and sort of, like I said, realness that makes you, remember it. Now, Pokemon I remember, obviously, because there's so much more. There's the cards, the merchandise, the game. It wasn't just a show. It was a whole thing. You liked Pokemon overall. I know there were kids who watched the show and didn't play the game, or there were probably kids who played the game and didn't watch the show, or didn't bother with the cards and all that. But Pokemon was a phenomenon. It wasn't just a show. Like, for example, I used to watch Arthur when I got home from school. Arthur was a great show, and I still to this day think that it's an amazing kids show. It was done very well, but Arthur is not a phenomenon. Arthur is not something where I had tons of toys and books and games and all that. It was just a great show. But Pokemon was something else. Everybody liked it, and it was, honestly, it's something else to think back on something that everybody was into. There's rarely sometimes, it's like when a show comes on, like Breaking Bad. Everybody was into that. Everybody was into it. It was such a big moment to sort of, everybody's talking about it. And it's like Pokemon. If you were a kid in the late 90s, this was like your life. One thing I really liked about the Pokemon anime was not just the main characters like Misty and Brock and Ash, and obviously there's new characters now. Like, I actually really like the character May, who I never actually watched as a kid. I actually more recently watched the Hoenn seasons when I was like in my 20s. But regardless, for childhood purposes and nostalgia, Ash, Brock, and Misty, incredible characters, but who doesn't love Team Rocket? These guys were amazing villains because They were terrible, and you knew they were going to lose every time, but somehow you kind of wanted to root for them because deep down they weren't like awful people, and they just kind of fell in the wrong crowd, and they should not have been working for Team Rocket. Blah, blah, blah. They made the show so much more fun, and the theme song, the motto for Team Rocket was incredible. That is one of the most nostalgic things ever, because I used to pretend at recess. Me and my friend used to pretend that we were in Team Rocket, and she wanted to be Jessie, and I did not want to be James because I'm a girl, so I chose to make up a new character named Kate, who is, this is all phony obviously, but who is James's sister. And because I'm in grade 4 and I can do whatever I want, I made her have everything. I was Kate Rocket, and James was my sister. Sailor Moon was my cousin. I was also a Sailor Scout. I think I made Inspector Gadget my uncle. I wanted to be everything awesome. I had all these cool Digimon. I had everything. So, regardless, we were Team Rocket, and we would, play Team Rocket at recess, and we'd run into Ash and Misty and defeat them and steal Pokemon from them and do Team Rocket things, and we'd sing the motto every recess, and I obviously did James's part, and James was still real. Like, James would enter the picture and we'd pretend James was there, and he was so stupid and blah blah blah. But Team Rocket I so loved. I loved Team Rocket, and that motto of theirs, wow. I went to Video Games Live a couple years ago, and they did the Team Rocket motto, and I went with my mom, actually, which was cool because she got to see a lot of different video game music done, done or orchestrated, and kind of neat for her to see it because she's not into video games, and she actually really enjoyed the concert. But they did this Team Rocket thing, and then the whole audience started doing the thing, including me, and it was prepare for trouble and all this, and my mom looked at me what? She was like it was a culty thing, we were all doing this thing that she had no idea what it was, and it was amazing. So, the Pokemon anime, it gives me all the feels you can possibly imagine. If I think back to shows that I love from my childhood, there are so many. I can name 80 different 90s, or over 100, whatever, different 90s shows that I just loved. But the two for anime, Sailor Moon 100%, but Pokemon, it really stands out. And I think it's just because even to this day too, if I could live in a video game universe, I would actually choose Pokemon. I would choose to be a Pokemon trainer or something to do with Pokemon. Because when you think about it, the whole Pokemon battling thing is pretty awful. It's kind of like cockfighting. But regardless of that, it's not real. And I actually would live in the Pokemon world if I had to choose a video game world to live in, if it was real. I don't know. The anime is incredible. It's still really good to this day. It's so full of heart. Honestly, when a Pokemon leaves, you are very upset. This is I don't know. It's funny that I talk about this out loud because Pokemon is just so nostalgic, and it's still part of my life because I still play the games and I still watch it, and regardless, sometimes I buy cards and whatever. So I haven't really changed from the 10-year-old me 17 years later, and I am still the same person playing the same things. But I just, honestly, it's incredible how a show that seems stupid on the outside, because I know my parents had such a hard time with Pokemon. To them, it was so irritating. Anime in the 90s for parents was the worst thing. It was hey, what's going on? They just did not get it. Parents did not get it. And I think it's because my mom and dad, my dad grew up in the 50s, my mom grew up in the 60s as kids, and they didn't grow up with anime. They grew up with cartoons. My mom used to watch Flintstones and Jetsons and stuff, but they didn't grow up with anime. And I feel it's something else because there's so many things that Japanese anime include, and they're just different. They're different than Western and American cartoons. They're just very different. The Jetsons and Flintstones are very much based on sitcoms. They are a sitcom format. Pokemon, not so much. So I watched that and I loved it and I understood it, but I'm trying to sympathize because hearing someone say Charmander or Pikachu over and over again is probably super irritating if you don't know what's going on. But regardless, they didn't get it. Looking back, it really is an amazing show. It really is. And I know that I'm rambling and going on, but that's the point of this video, is to talk about how much I loved Pokemon and how much it defined 1999, 1998, 2000 for me, because I just, honestly, it was an incredible show. It still is. But I remember it was so fun to play the game and watch the show and see everything in the game come to life. You'd get to a new city like, I don't know, Cerulean City, and then you'd see them get to Cerulean City and they'd meet the person you just talked to and you're like, wow, that's so cool. Again, one of the best marketing strategies of all time. I admit that we all fell for it. It's not that I fell for it, it's great. But yeah, it's very smart as far as what they were doing, because you like one thing, you like all these things, and sure enough, now you've spent hundreds of dollars on merchandise and you're a total sucker. So that's basically, those are my memories with the show. As far as specific episodes go, I could talk on that for various things. There was an episode, the Ditto episode. I always remember that being really cool because I really liked the Ditto, the trainer, Duplica. I don't know. Again, she was one of the imaginary characters at recess with me and my friend. I think Duplica was one of my cousins. Kids are funny. Kids do funny things. But the Pokemon anime, wow, what a great show. And it's making me want to watch it. So I'm probably going to go watch some right now because it's just that good. You can watch it again and you're like, holy shit, I'm crying. So those are my memories with the Pokemon anime. I hope you enjoyed. And next time, the next episodes, I'm going to be talking about the game, the card game, the trading card game, because damn, that is a huge part of the 90s. And also the merch, because I had a lot of merchandise in Pokemon stuff. Wow, it's sad. So, please remember to comment, click like, and subscribe, and I will see you guys later for more Pokemon awesomeness.